Hey guys, I've been wondering if it matters what type of foam you use and where you get it from, and if it affects your 3D puff when you're doing embroidery. So since then, I've bought a ton of foam from a couple different places. I'm going to test it out and let you guys know. Stay tuned. So here we have the different options that I found to use for foam. These are just based on recommendations I've seen on Facebook groups, as well as my own personal options that I've used. The first one I'll start off with is the one I use most often, is this Walmart foam. This is sold as craft foam in Walmart, and they typically come in a variety pack where you get a bunch of different colors for a low price of I think about $5 to $6 before tax. The biggest downside of this Walmart craft foam is that it is incredibly thin, and in order to get the thickness that you need for most 3D puff, which is usually around 2 to 3 millimeters, you typically have to stack at least 2 or 3 of these together to get that thickness. One of the names I hear most often when talking about 3D foam is Gunold, and I think the reason why is because they do have a very dense foam, which gives probably, I'm guessing, the best results. I don't know for a fact, but we'll find out when we test this. They do have a bunch of different colors. You do have to buy them individually, but if you are doing a project and you know exactly what your project requires, this shouldn't be an issue, so you can just buy the color of foam that you need for your project. The next one we'll be looking at is from AliExpress. The reason I'm testing this is because AliExpress is typically known for having items that are cheaper than you could find here. However, you do have to take in consideration the shipping cost as well as the time it takes for the item to arrive. But if you are stocking this, that's something you don't have to really take in consideration. Say if you do a lot of certain colors, you can purchase a ton, save a little bit of money. As long as the results are decent, this might be worth checking out. So the next one we'll be testing out is from AllStitch. I do get most of my embroidery supplies from AllStitch, so I figured if there was a place to get embroidery foam, this would be the place to go. They do come in these very large sheets, which are very nice to have and cut the cost a little bit. However, you do have to go through and cut everything down to size when you're using it on your project. And the last one I'll be testing is from Hab+Dash. These are the same people that manufactured the magnetic bobbins that a lot of people use. So I figured if anybody would have a good embroidery foam, they might be one of them. So we'll also be testing this out as well. What we'll be using for the test is just a couple different letters. If you do have the lettering version of Design Shop, you can create this yourself. There are a couple puff options available that are pre-digitized, and you can make adjustments in Design Shop to get them how you want. For the tension, I'll be trusting the Acti-feed system that Melco uses. This is a great system, and it allows you to set a minimum and a maximum tension. I'll be adjusting this and then keeping it the same for all the different tests. My understanding of the Acti-feed system is essentially the higher the number, the looser the tension is, or the thicker material you're embroidering on. So if you are embroidering on some leather that's a little bit thicker, you would want to raise your Acti-feed up. Now if you're doing something very, very thin, like a t-shirt, then you could bring your Acti-feed down. The benefit of the Acti-feed system with Melco is that you're allowed to set a minimum and maximum and kind of get that dialed into a range. So if the thickness changes or there's a little bit of variability, you can go ahead and set that and the machine will take care of the rest. The setup I'll be using today is the 5.5 inch by 5.5 inch Mighty Hoop with a piece of 3-ounce stabilizer. This is going to be a little bit thicker, and it is a cutaway, so I don't have to worry about it tearing too much. As a reminder, here are the brands that I'm testing out today. We have the Walmart, we have 1-ply, 2-ply, as well as AllStitch, Gunold, AliExpress, and Hab+Dash. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started with 1-ply of Walmart foam. So there we go, that's the first one. I think for the sake of time, I'm just gonna go ahead and work through all of these and then bring you guys back when they're all done, and then we'll peel off the foam and do a comparison at that point. Alright guys, so here are all the embroidered pieces. For the most part, all of these do look the same, so we're gonna go ahead and peel it off and see the final results and see does it actually matter between embroidery foam and craft foam and which brand here has the best results. Alright, so the first one we're gonna be peeling is the single layer of Walmart foam. It is peeling up already on some places, so it should be fairly easy. But let's see how that goes. And there we go. For the most part, it is pretty clean. There are a couple spots that need to be cleaned up, but that's why you use the same color foam as you do thread. So that way if you do have spots with foam peeking out, it's harder to notice because the color matches. That again is the Walmart one. I'll put that on the side for now. The second one we have here is still the Walmart foam, but instead we used 2 plies instead of 1 sheet of foam. Previously, this is what I did for most of my projects. This does require peeling it separately, so let's go ahead and do that. So here we go. This is the 2 ply of the Walmart foam. Again, this is the craft foam. It is sticking out at certain points, but again, like I said, if you're using the same color, it would be less noticeable. It does take a little bit longer for cleanup because you do have to peel off 2 layers of foam instead of just 1. But with that being said, it did have a nice result and it does look fairly well. Next here we have the AllStitch foam. This is 1 sheet of foam, but it is thicker. From the looks of it, it does look like it did stitch out pretty well. So let's go ahead and get it peeled. So there we go, that peeled off very nicely. There isn't too many pieces of foam sticking through, but also it is the same color foam as the thread, so it is harder to see like I mentioned. Overall, it is very clean, and for the thickness, it does have that good 3D effect. Moving on, we have the Gunold foam. This is, again, 1 layer of foam. I think this one might come out the best, but again, this is just from the observations I've seen so far. So let's go ahead and get it peeled. And here we go. This is the Gunold film again. It did have a little bit more trouble peeling than the AllStitch film did, but it leaves very, very clean edges. And I don't see as much foam poking out as I did from the other ones, so this looks promising. Moving on, we have the AliExpress foam. As a reminder, it is just a single layer. This does look like it came out pretty well. This was one of the thicker foams as well. So let's go ahead and get it peeled and see how it came out. Alright, and there we go with the AliExpress foam. It was a little bit easier to peel than a Gunold so far, but still a bit harder than AllStitch. As for how clean it came out, you can see quite a bit of pieces of the foam coming through. So this is a lot more similar to the Walmart craft foam than it is the AllStitch and the Gunold so far. Overall, you still get the dimension, you still get the thickness, and it looks pretty good. Alright, so here we have the last one. It is Hab+Dash. It's a single layer. Let's go ahead and get it peeled. Alright, and so here's the final results for the Hab+Dash. Peeled fairly easily, similar to the AllStitch, but we did have a bunch of pieces coming through. Because this was a white foam with blue embroidery, it's a little bit more noticeable, so I think this is pretty comparable to the AllStitch one. Alright, so there's our final results. So starting off with the Walmart foam, this is the craft foam, and overall I wouldn't recommend using this over just regular embroidery foam. The reason is because it's a lot more difficult to clean up. Also, it doesn't leave the greatest edge when you're complete. So you have to go through and poke all this foam in if you want to keep it really clean. But if you are in a bind, I would recommend the Walmart foam because it is readily available and typically you can go to the store and just pick it up and you don't have to wait for shipping or anything like that. They do also have a couple different options to pick from, which is nice. For the AllStitch foam, I'm actually going to add in the Hab+Dash because I think these two are fairly comparable. Although I used white Hab+Dash foam and so it's a lot more noticeable, I think these both had a fairly similar result. The AllStitch was the easiest one to peel, but the Hab+Dash was not too far behind. Overall, these had a very clean finish, and I'm very happy with the results for both of these. The one thing I'll note is if you are doing foam embroidery or 3D puff, try your best to get the foam color as close as you can to the thread color. Next up, we have the AliExpress foam. I would compare this the closest to the Walmart foam. The way that it came out, it looks very similar to how the craft foam peeled, opposed to the embroidery foam. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this. If you are trying to get a similar quality, I would recommend the Walmart one. The biggest benefit of having this is on AliExpress, there are different options, so you can get anywhere from 2mm to 4mm to I think 5mm foam for this purpose. Just beware that it doesn't peel as clean as some of the embroidery foam options, and it will take extra time to clean up. Last but certainly not least is the Gunold foam. I think this foam is the best in my opinion. This again is the dense foam, not their classic foam. The lettering holds up extremely well, and there's not that much foam peeking through because of how dense the foam itself was. I think moving forward, I'll be using Gunold on most of my projects and would definitely recommend them. So go check them out. So as a review, I would definitely recommend Gunold, and this is going to be my primary choice moving forward. As an alternative, I really liked AllStitch and Hab+Dash. What I wouldn't recommend is the AliExpress because you can get a similar quality from the Walmart ones, which you can find locally. The only difference is the AliExpress, they had options from 2mm all the way to 5mm versus the Walmart one. You're stuck with the thin ply that they have, but you can layer it to get a little bit more dimension. Hopefully I provide enough information for you guys to make your own decision on which foam is the best. I know there's so many more brands out there, so make sure to leave it in the comments below if you have a brand that you like and you'd like to recommend it as well. Hopefully when watching this, you learned something or at least found it entertaining. Regardless, I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.